In ancient times there was a king. His prince was very fond of Mrigaya. The king loved him very much, did not deny any wish of the prince. One day the prince wanted to go hunting. The king called one of his amateurs and asked him to go with the prince. You know all the ways, the prince does not, so do not leave the prince's side even for a moment. The prince went to the forest for hunting with Amatya and many others. After some time a stag came out in front. The prince put the horse behind him. Amatya thought that the prince's horse was fast and the stag would be killed soon. So he relaxed a bit. But the stag kept on running. The prince followed him for many miles, but could not find him. He also forgot the way. He wanted to go back to his Amatya and other hunter companions, but he got completely lost. While wandering, he saw at one place that a very beautiful woman was mourning. The prince stopped his horse and asked the woman, "Why are you crying?" The woman told that I am the princess of a country. Due to special circumstances, I was going from here alone riding my horse, that I fell asleep and I fell from the horse, and my horse also ran into the forest. I did not even know that. Do you know where he has gone? The prince felt pity on him. He put on his horse in front of him and went to the place where the woman had told him his capital. After some time the woman said, "I am tired on the horse, want to walk." The prince took it off and started walking with it. But he was very surprised to see that after reaching a wall, he called out, "Children, be happy. I have brought you a big fat fresh man for hunting." A voice came in response, "Amma, where is that man? Give it to us quickly, we are very hungry." The prince was horrified to hear this. He understood that this woman belongs to the caste of cannibal forest dwellers, and has brought me here by deceit to kill and eat me. He started turning on the horse. When the woman saw that the victim was out of hand, she turned around and said, "Why are you upset? This was just a joke with you." The prince said, "Well, you have come to your home and now I am leaving." The woman said, "Who are you? Where will you go?" The prince told his condition, that he had lost his way in hunting. The woman said, "Then why don't you come with me? Rest a while." The prince did not understand whether to believe the woman or not. He finally raised both hands and said, "O God, if you are omnipotent, then save me from this calamity, and show me my way." As soon as he said this, the cannibal woman disappeared in a dense forest, and in some time the prince found his way. On reaching his palace, he told his father the whole story of how he got separated from Amatya, and was saved from getting trapped in the claws of the cannibal. The king was so enraged by this that he got Amatya killed. After telling such a story, Shahzad then went on to say that King Salamat, after narrating this story to Minister Garak Badshah, said, "I have come to know from reliable sources that Hakim Juban is a spy of one of your enemies and he has sent him here so that kill slowly. It is okay that your disease has gone away now, but later the effect of the medicines will be such that you will suffer a lot and it is possible that even your life will be made." The minister seduced the king so much that he started doubting the doctor. He said, "Perhaps you are right. It may be that it has come for the purpose of killing me, and at some point of time it may make me smell such a medicine that will kill me. I really feel the danger for myself." The minister thought that his conspiracy should be completed soon, lest the king's opinion be reversed later. He said, "Maharaj, then what is the delay? Why don't you call him now and get him killed?" The king said, "Well, I do so." The king sent a Sada to bring Duban here at this very moment. The messenger brought him in a short time. On Duban's arrival, the king asked, "Do you know why I have called you at this time?" He pleaded that he did not know. The king said, "I have called you to be executed so that I can save you from your conspiracy." The doctor was very surprised by this and asked, "What is my crime that you are getting me killed?" The king said, "You are a spy of one of my enemies and have come here to kill me. It is appropriate for me not to delay even a moment in giving you the death penalty." Having said this, the king asked the same Sada to kill the doctor. The doctor understood that my enemies had turned the king's mind away from me because of jealousy. He started regretting that why I came here to cure the king and risked my life. He kept proving his innocence in front of the king for a long time, but the king insisted on killing him. He ordered Sada for the second time to kill the doctor. The doctor started saying that you are getting me killed innocently. God will take revenge from you for my murder. Having said this, the fisherman told the giant of Gagar that what was between Duban and King Garrick is the same between me and you. Well, listen to the next story. When the executioner started blindfolding Duban to kill him, the king's courtiers, considering the doctor as innocent, he once again prayed to the king not to kill him, but the king scolded them all in such a way that they did not have the courage to say anything. The doctor was convinced that somehow my life could not be saved. He said to the king, "Swami, give me so much time that I can go home and write a will. I want to give my books to a deserving person. But one of those books deserves to be kept in your own library." The king said, "Which book do you have that is worthy of me? What's in that book?" Juban said, "There are many wonderful and useful things in it. One of them is that after my head is cut off, my severed head will answer whatever question you ask by reading the third line on the left page of the sixth page of the book." The king was very surprised to hear this. He thoughtfully ordered that the doctor should be taken to his house under guard. As per the order of the king, the soldiers took the Hakim to his house. Hakim completed his work in one day. The next day, when he was taken before the emperor, he had in his hands a thick book wrapped in a cloth. The doctor said to the king, "If you keep my severed head on a golden plate on the cloth wrapped above in that book, the bleeding will stop. After this, whatever you ask after reading the line mentioned by me, he will tell my severed head. But I again request you that I am innocent. You have mercy on me and withdraw the order of my execution." The king said, "No, now whatever I want to hear I will hear from your severed head. There is no use of your crying and beating." Saying this, the king took the book in his hand and ordered the executioner to kill the doctor. Then he placed the cover cloth of the book on a golden plate, and when the bleeding from the head stopped, he and the courtiers were very surprised. Now that severed head opened its eyes and said to the king, "Open the sixth page of the book." The king wanted to do so, but the pages of the book were stuck to each other. So he began to separate the pages by applying spit to his finger. When the sixth page was opened, the king wanted to read the third line of the left page, but he saw that nothing was written on that page. When he told this thing, the severed head said, "Look at the front pages, maybe it is written in them." The king began to separate the pages by applying spit to his finger. In fact, the Hakim had poisoned every page of the book. When the spitted finger was repeatedly rubbed on the pages and then went into the mouth, the poison in those pages entered the body of the emperor. The king's condition started deteriorating, but he did not pay any attention to it in his hobby of getting answers to the questions from the severed head. Eventually his vision also dimmed and he fell down from the throne. When the doctor's head saw that the poison has completely risen and the king is a guest for a moment or two, he laughed and said, "O cruel unjust, you have seen what is the result of killing an innocent." The king died on hearing this. In this way he got the fruits of his actions. Queen Shahrazad told Shahryar that the story of Hakim Juban and Badshah Garrick that the fisherman had told to the demon was over. Now I will continue the story of the fisherman and the demon. After telling this story, the fisherman said to the demon, "If Garrick Badshah had not killed Hakim Juban, God would not have punished him like this. Demon, your condition is also like that king. If you had not wanted to kill me by getting rid of the bondage, then you would not have been in bondage again. Now why should I take pity on you and set you free again? I am again throwing you along with Gaga into the river where you will remain till eternity. The demon said, My friend, don't do this, I will never intend to kill you now. Good should also be done in return of evil. Do me the same kindness that Emma did to Atika. The fisherman said, I don't know that story, if you tell me I will listen. The demon said, If you want to hear this story, then free me from bondage, because I will not be able to speak well in Gaga. If you free me, not only this, I will tell many more good stories. The fisherman said, I don't want to listen to your story. The demon said, If you leave me, I will tell you the way to become very rich. The fisherman got some greed. He said, I do not believe your words, but if you take an oath of Ismazam, great mantra, and say that you will not cheat me and will be firm on your word, then I will leave you. The demon did the same. As soon as the fisherman opened the cover of the Gaga, smoke came out of it and spread. In some time he took the form of a demon. The demon stumbled and drowned Gaga in the river. The fisherman was very scared to see this and said, O monster, what have you done? Don't you want to stick to your word? I have done to you what Hakim Juban had done to Badshah Garrick. When the fisherman was scared, the monster laughed and said, Don't be afraid, I am firm on my word. Now you pick up your net and follow me. At last they both went and came out from inside a city, and climbed to the top of a mountain. Then got down from there and went to a long and wide palace. A pond appeared in that palace with 4 mounds around it. After reaching the pond, the demon said to the fisherman, You cast a net in this pond and catch fish. The fisherman became happy, because there were many fish in the pond. When he pulled a net into the pond, 4 fish came in it which were of 4 colors: white, red, yellow and black. The demon said, Take these fishes and go to the king here. He will give you so much money that you have never seen before. But keep one thing in mind. Cast the net in the pond only once a day. Saying this, the demon hit the ground hard. The ground burst and the demon got absorbed in it. After the monster was buried in that pit, the earth again became equal as if it had never been pitted. The fisherman took those 4 fishes to the king's palace. Shahrazad said to Shahryar, that it is beyond my power to describe how happy the king was on seeing those fishes. He asked his minister to take these fishes to the cook, who was presented to me by the king of Greece. Only she is clever enough to cook these beautiful fishes well. The minister took the fishes to the cook. The king rewarded the fisherman with 400 mohars. Shahrazad said to Shahryar that now listen to the condition of that cook, what happened to him. The cook cut the fish into pieces, washed them and put them in hot oil to fry. When the pieces turned red after roasting on one side, he turned them over to roast on the other side. At that moment his eyes burst from what he saw. He saw that the wall of the kitchen was torn. Out of it, a very beautiful woman came out dressed in flamboyant clothes. Her body was decorated with various gems and ornaments like the queens of the country of Egypt. He had precious earrings in his ears, large pearls around his neck and gold bracelets studded in red on his arms. Apart from these also she was wearing many valuable ornaments. The woman came out and raised a valuable stick in her hand and stood near the pan in which the fishes were being fried. She struck a fish with a stick and said, O fish, have you kept your promise? There was no movement in the fish. The woman again stuck the stick and repeated her question. On this all the 4 fishes stood up and said, It is true that if you believe us, we will believe you, and if you return our loan, we will return your loan. On hearing this, the woman opened the pan in which the fish were not fried. Overturned on the ground and itself got absorbed in the wall, and the wall joined and became like before. The cook lost his senses after seeing this incident. When I regained consciousness after some time, I saw that the fish had fallen inside the stove and turned into coal. She started crying very sad. She was thinking that I have seen all this business with my own eyes, but how will the king believe it? She was sitting in this worry that the minister came and asked whether the fishes were cooked or not. The cook told the whole situation to the minister. The minister did not believe this story, but he did not think it right to complain about the cook. He made an excuse to the king that the fish were spoiled and called the fisherman, and asked him to bring 4 more such fish. The fisherman did not tell him about the promise he had made to the monster, but some other compulsion told why he could not bring fishes today. The next day the fisherman again went to that pond and caught the same type of 4-colored fish in his net. He reached the minister with the fishes. The minister gave him some reward and brought the fishes to the cook and asked him to cook them in front of me. The cook cut and washed the fish like the day before and put them in hot oil, and when he turned them over in the pan, the wall burst and the same woman came out from inside the wall with a stick in her hand and touched a fish with the stick and asked about the previous day. Those 4 fish joined together and raised their heads and stood on their tails and gave the same answer. The woman again overturned the pan and herself got absorbed in the wall, and the wall joined again and became as before. The minister was shocked to see all these things. Now he thought it right to tell this to the king. When he told this incident to the king, he was also very surprised. He said that I want to see all this with my own eyes. He again told the fisherman to bring 4 more such fish. The fisherman said, "Now I am unable to bring fishes before 3 days." Since the whole business was wonderful, the king did not put any pressure on the fisherman. After 3 days, he again brought the same 4 fish and gave them to the king. The king was pleased and gave him 400 more shafis. Now the king told the minister to remove the cook, and you yourself cook these fish in front of me. The minister closed the cook's food from inside and started cooking the fish. When the fish were turned red on one side, the wall burst once again. But this time it was not a beautiful woman, but a Negro dressed like a slave with a green stick in his hand. The Negro asked in a harsh and menacing voice, "Fishes, fishes, are you still true to your word?" The fishes raised their heads and said, "We stand by that." The Negro overturned the cauldron and himself entered the hole in the wall, and the wall joined as before. The king said to the minister, "I have seen this wonderful incident myself, otherwise I would not have believed it. These fish are also not ordinary. I am very eager to know this secret." Saying this he called the fisherman again, and asked him, "From where did you get these colorful fishes?" The fisherman told that I caught him from the pond, which has 4 dunes around it. The king asked the minister, "Do you know where that pond is?" The minister said, "I have been going hunting there for 60 years, but I have never seen or heard of such a pond." Now the king asked the fisherman, "How far is that pond and can you take me there?" The fisherman said that the pond is 3 hours' walk from here, and I will definitely take you there. At that time the day was less, but the emperor was so eager that he ordered his courtiers and guards to get ready soon. Then he followed the fisherman and climbed the mountain told by him. When he landed on the other side of the mountain, a huge forest appeared there. No one had seen this forest before. Then the king and his companions crossed that forest as well, and everyone reached the bank of the pond, which was surrounded by 4 mounds. The water of that pond was very pure, and innumerable fishes of the 4 colors that he got from the fisherman were swimming in that pond. The king's surprise increased. He asked his courtiers and chieftains whether you have seen this pond before or not. All of them requested that we have not even heard about how to see this pond. The king said that until I understand the secret of this pond and its colorful fish, I will not go from here, all of you should also camp here." According to his order, the camps of the courtiers and guards fell around the pond. At nightfall he called the minister to his tent and said, "I am very curious to know the secret of how the Negro came to that kitchen, and how he talked to the fishes, and I also want to know that this pond, which is didn't see where it suddenly came from. I can't contain my curiosity, so I thought I'd reveal the secret all by myself. I'm going alone, you stay here in the morning, when the courtiers come here for the court. Tell them that the king has become ill and wants to stay here peacefully for a few days." Saying this, "Send all the courtiers and guards back to the capital, and you wait alone in this camp till I return." The minister explained a lot to the king. "Maharaj, don't do this. There is great danger in this work. It is also possible that even after doing all this, you may not get any secret knowledge. Then why are you taking so much trouble unnecessarily and taking so much risk?" There was no effect of his persuasion on the king. He took off the royal dress and put on the clothes of an ordinary soldier. When everyone was fast asleep, he came out of his camp with a sword and went to one side and climbed a mountain. In no time he reached its peak and got down on the other side. Ahead he saw a deep forest. He started walking inside it. After going some distance, it was morning, and on going far he saw a beautiful palace. He was very happy to see this building and hoped that he would know the secret of the pond at this place. Reaching near the building, he saw that it was huge and made of black stones. Its walls were studded with clean steel sheets, which shone like a mirror. The king was convinced that he would get the desired information here. He stood for a long time admiring the beauty of the building and then went to it. He was seeing that the door of the building was open, yet as a courtesy he clapped so that someone would come from inside after hearing his voice. When no one came, he rattled the chain, thinking that his clap might not have reached inside. When no one came out even after rattling the chain, the king got angry that it is a strange house where even when called, no one comes and asks. He went inside and reached the courtyard, and called out loudly whether there was any man inside this building who would give some place for a guest to stay. Even then he did not get any answer, so his surprise increased. When he entered the house after going ahead of the porch, he saw that there is a bigger house than inside, but there is no one inside it. Now he crossed a long wide courtyard and reached a hall. A silk carpet was spread in it. The inside of the house was even more decorated. The doors were covered with inlaid velvet curtains, in which golden and silver flowers were embroidered. Inside there was a bahadari, which had a tank around which 4 lions were made of gold. Fountains of water used to come out from the mouths of the lions, and when their water fell on the marble floor below, it seemed as if millions of diamonds and jewels were bouncing. A fountain in the middle of the pool. Apart from this, there were 3 gardens in that huge building, in which trees of various fragrant flowers and excellent fruit trees were planted with great beauty. Everything in the gardens was arranged in such an orderly manner that even a sad man would drown in joy on seeing them. Different types of beautiful birds were chirping on the trees. Those birds lived on the same trees, could not fly away, because nets were lying on the trees. The king roamed from one room to another and from one garden to another, enjoying everything. He got tired of roaming around and started resting in a house, and started looking at the beauty of the front garden. Meanwhile, he heard a bitter voice as if someone was moaning in great sorrow. When he listened with his ear, he came to know that some man is crying and telling his sad story, and cursing his misfortune. The king raised the curtain of the room from where this sound was coming. He saw a young man sitting on something high like a throne, dressed in royal clothes, and lamenting in a pitiful voice. When the king went near him and saluted, the young man said, "I'm sorry, I am unable to get up to welcome you, that's why I could not come to you." The king said, I am greatly impressed by your polite behavior. In fact, there must be some unavoidable reason why you cannot get up. But seeing your sorrow, I am very distressed. You tell me how I can remove your suffering. Please do not hesitate to tell me your difficulties. Please tell how you are lying here in this helpless condition. Also tell to whom this grand palace belongs and why it is so deserted. Also tell me, because this is what I have set out to find out, what is the secret of the nearby pond and who are its fishes. The young man started crying again, after hearing this, and said, before hearing my condition, see. Saying this, when he lifted his cloth, the king saw that he was a living man above the navel and below was made of black stone. His eyes widened and he said, I was surprised to see everything here, but seeing your condition, my wonder and curiosity have increased a lot. Tell your detailed condition for God's sake. I believe that the mystery of the colorful fishes of the pond is also related to you. You tell me your sad story quickly, because by telling it to others, some of the sorrow of a man goes away. The young man said that even describing his condition pains me, but it is your order, that is why I am telling.